And we're live. And welcome to this second edition of an afternoon with. Um, it's we do these for people that matter. And today, the person that matters the most is Joshua Budich, and we're going to call him Josh. I've gotten permission, written verbal confirmation from the powers that be that we could do that. But today we're going to sit down with Josh. Josh is a very well known artist in the poster collecting world. Josh has been doing work now for well over 13 years. We're going to go down the history of his work. We're going to be talking about some prints and even talk about the fact that I might have thought that one of his prints was almost like Shaquille O'Neal did Shazam, only to find out that Shaquille O'Neal did do Shazam. So we'll talk about that and get into more. But before we start breaking down into everything, let's start with the simplest of questions I can ask you today, and that's, Josh, how you doing today?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me.
Dude, this is, well, it's funny because there's only two guests that I can say that have been harder to get than you. We have had the most difficult time with dates and making sure they line up for the last couple of months. You're like, listen, and I know you have kids and you got a lot going on. You're like, listen, you're like, I could do an afternoon, I could do Tuesday, and I'm like, done, lock it up. I can work it in between work. Let's get it done. Because the one thing that intrigues me about your art is you have the way that you've put out your work for over the last 13 years, since 2008,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, you have this, like, there's different dynamics to your work. You have a lot of stuff that is kind of realistic and it's poster art. Then you have individual prints that are kind of drawn in an artistic style of almost like a painting style. And then you have these new digital style that comes out, but it's all you, and it's all categorized in this different variants that are coming out that is very clever in its own sense, and it's something I really enjoy. And I mean, own a bunch of your pieces, and it's just different. I really like that.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I kind of my process has always been to let the piece dictate the aesthetic. So I wasn't always trying to push like my own. I think I was always investigating like my own style as I was progressing in this medium. Because when I started, I was just an illustrator. I didn't go to school to train to do this. I just I had an interest in it as a collector, and it just turned into me kind of wanting to produce my own work. Because screen printing is a very affordable way for artists to kind of publish their work. So yeah, that's kind of how I started. But yeah, it's just I think it was just my lack of experience with the medium and just kind of trying to define myself. I started early enough in the pop culture poster scene that you can see with my earlier pieces, they're not nearly as sophisticated as what I've produced lately. And that's just from me, my curiosity about continuing to learn how to work within this medium and how to push it. So yeah, I just, I started I think I started like the Eddie Vedder piece that you mentioned earlier is very much like kind of driven by the whole like stencil artist thing. Like it's kind of, like an Obey Giant kind of take on, simplified portraiture. It lends itself to stencil art. It's got pattern and grunginess to it. And that was kind of one style that I investigated for a little bit. But now, you're right. The more recent pieces, I think, are a little bit more photorealistic. I've gone like super photorealistic before. But now I think my interest is now in kind of devolving my work a little bit and going back into something that seems to be more hands-on. Like it's got kind of a grittiness to it. And I admittedly I'm kind of a print nerd. So I'm the guy who's got my nose right on the paper and I'm enjoying every single pixel. So for me, when I get to zoom in on my own work real close and see the pixel mess that's kind of happening, it really intrigues me. I think that's the best part of screen printing. It's kind of the unpredictableness of and the hands-on quality of the whole process.
Well, you had said that you thought like your newer work's more sophisticated than the original work, but the one thing that I find interesting, and I've been following you since the Eddie Vedder print, because that is how I was able to find out about your work. But the interesting thing is, I don't even own that piece, but I own a lot of the pop culture stuff because it was brought in. Was like I feel as though as I'm watching you grow and you're learning more and you're doing more, it's kind of like that we're as fans sitting back, we're evolving with you because it's like we were purchasing this one piece. This is his style. As he's growing, it's like, wow, look what he's doing now. Well, look, I want this. And it's just a growth piece, maybe not sophisticated, but like it's the growth process of seeing you being able to challenge yourself into new dynamics and to build these new obstacles to make these pieces that are, that really stand out, foreshadowing. I mean, some of the pieces you have become what we call cycles upstairs, where we have pieces that during different holidays that they come out. Like it's like, we have the Charlie Brown with Snoopy on the pumpkin that comes out around fall time, and then we have the Christmas Story with the soap in the mouth that comes out around Christmas time. So we have these pieces that are with it, but and those pieces are dynamically different than the other ones that we have that are, I have a Shaun of the Dead print from you, I have a Pulp Fiction print from you, and those are much different. But it's just been this cool ride, and then it's just I like watching people grow, and I got to meet you 2 years ago, and it was it was funny because when I met you, you looked at me, and you're like, "Do I know you?" And
Yeah.
I said, well, I said we're Facebook friends. Like, oh, you just look really familiar.
Yeah.
And it's just a short conversation, but it's always cool to meet the artists and stuff. And but no, the Eddie Vedder print was interesting to me because in 2010 when you released that print, and it is this, it's a side piece of Eddie with the mic in his hand, oranges and reds, popping, very simple, like you were saying, kind of like a trace, like you were saying, like an etch piece. It sold out really quickly. 200 pieces sold out tremendously fast. And good luck trying to find one because I actually I couldn't find any information on it, and then until I went to Worth Point like a few minutes ago, and I'm like, was I hallucinating this whole time and actually thought that he did something that he didn't do? And I'm going to mention this to him. And he's going to be like, I never done an Eddie Vedder print. And
Yeah.
I'm going to look like a schmuck. And no, it was there. This was it wasn't that, we thought, Shaquille O'Neal did Shazam and then he never did really. But no, you actually did this
Right.
piece. And then you also did another Eddie Vedder print for the rock and roll series or the music series, the Square series.
Did I?
Yeah, because that one came out, and then I think Chris Cornell came out 2 weeks later, and then it was Kurt Cobain came out.
I don't think I've done Eddie Vedder for that suit. That is the Berenstein Bear thing right there. There you go.
There we go. This is
You
where I'm
made it
screwing up. See,
You made
listen, if I'm going to screw up, I might as well screw up earlier in the interview than later on. But
Let me just make sure. I really, yeah, I don't think I ever did Eddie for that series. We're talking about the Flood Gallery series.
which we'll talk about shortly. Before we get into that, let's talk about your earlier work. So in the early 2010s to 2008s, which are very much like that series saying, what made you do the Eddie Vedder print at that time?
It was actually, I believe, now that I'm looking at my website of that piece, it was a commission through somebody. So it was a private commission. But I think it came from the series of pieces that I had done where I have like the word "the" and then some other word that defines the person to me. So I had like a Bruce Lee and an Elvis Presley and and they've all kind of got little nicknames that go along with them, and they're very simple stencil. They look like stencil cuts, but they've got kind of a like a halftone pattern in them. And I had been doing that. I kind of started, that was my first print, was the Elvis piece. And that piece was done in that style. And I kind of continued that style because the pieces were selling really well. But at that time, aside from gig posters that you would see at events and things, there wasn't a whole lot of musical tribute going on in the pop culture. It was either like political, pseudo political, or like, based on movies or television shows. But when I started back in 2008, um, there wasn't the volume that you see now of talent, just didn't exist. It was a great time to get into that industry because basically everyone was selling out prints like crazy. I think this Eddie Vedder print probably sold out in like less than 5 minutes. And for me, um, at the time, I was like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. But it sort of became the norm. And then, if just like a few years later, when more galleries popped up, more talent got introduced into the talent pool. Now it's not like that. That is not the reality anymore. There's just so much available to everyone that collectors, I think, are able to be a little choosier about what they go for. I myself, I was like a completist when it came to like Obey Giant for a while. I was buying like every single print, and when I missed one, I was like heartbreaking. Oh my God, I got to go to the eBay and try to find this print so I don't miss out on one. But nowadays it's like if I see something I like, I buy it. I don't, if I don't think I'll hang it on my wall, I don't really want it sitting in a flat file forever. So I just, I don't buy it. But I think it's a good thing because the audience can really get into what it is that they like, and they can latch on to either an artist or they can latch on to a subject matter, a property. I just, for me, I think historically, a lot of my stuff is not, it's, I guess you would consider it to be, well, it's not licensed. So for me, a lot of my earlier work was just me expressing myself. I didn't really worry about that side of the industry. And in fact, until recently, it really wasn't a big deal. It wasn't something that people considered. So I had a lot of freedom to kind of move around to different subjects and do pretty much like anything that interested me. And to go back to your question, I think the Eddie piece just kind of came from that first music series. But it was a growth on that series. It was a way for me to kind of push it into more than just the one color, work with texture, work with pattern. So yeah, this was definitely an evolution of that style.
Well, it's interesting. So it was commissioned by the colorsblend.com is what I found out. I guess it's a Pearl Jam posters archive page I knew nothing about. Now I'm gonna have to look up that later. But no, but if you look at like that, and then as it grows, in 11 years since that, you've put out some absolutely stellar pieces. Um,
Like,
you know, and what I like is it's all different. Um, you sparked my interest once again in 2019. You started doing this music series, and I like this because, like you had said, there's a lot of in this realm of collecting, especially in the music side, there's a lot of gig posters. Gig posters are a dime a dozen now. Every band's doing them. They're out there. But when it comes to tribute pieces that are done correctly, that they're unique, different, they stand out, and they're also not huge. Because one thing as a collector myself is like there was
mhm,
this time from that everything was either 24 by 36
right.
or it was like the 18 by 24, and that takes up a lot of real estate on a wall.
Mhm.
And you know as well as I listen, and you were talking about flat file. God, my flat file, I don't know, I'm gonna have to end up getting another flat file because I'm at max capacity on every drawer. But I want my stuff to be displayed, but it's so hard when everything's so big.
Right.
So in 2019, when you had posted the first, you were doing this series of music pieces, I was like, this is interesting. And then I realized how small they were. I'm like, this is even more intriguing. But tell me about this series, how it came about, how, the progression for the last 2 years, and where's it going to be going next?
Um, I've been working with the Flood Gallery for a long time. I think probably over 10 years now. A lot of it was commissions here and there. And they were kind of like a retail partner for me. I would sell through them, and it was a great way to reach out to a UK based audience. So it was a way for me to get more eyes on my work. Yeah, that series, the Flood Gallery does a lot of music based and music tribute pieces from a lot of different artists. They have a lot of great work on their site if you check it out. And this one, the commission was to just do a smaller print that people could easily display on the wall, so it wasn't going to sit in a flat file. It's funny you say that, because every time I go to a convention and meet collectors in person, a lot of what I hear is my walls are too full, I can't buy that piece. As much as I want it, I can't, there's nowhere to put it. And everyone feels bad stuffing it into a flat file. So I think the first time I really took note of that was when I did my fictional food solo show with 88. We introduced this 6x6 print that was just a single food object. And I got a lot of positive feedback from that, because people were like, this is the perfect size to put over a kitchen sink, and it'll be there forever, and I can look at it all the time, as opposed to having to take cabinets down to mount all these 18x24 pieces. So yeah, the response to that was so good that I've continued to just work in sizes that I think accommodate people's lifestyle and wall. And I mean, you can take a note from like retailers that do like interior design retailers. They'll have, we've got this print in A1, A2, A3, and it's like all these different sizes that kind of work for everybody. The difference is that I always do screen. These aren't, I don't want to say always, because these are giclées, but my 6x6s were screen prints. So you still get that quality of a screen print, but in a much smaller size. But these, being that they're printed in-house by Flood, so they're high quality giclée prints, which are like super nice on watercolor stock. Yeah, I wanted to investigate kind of loosening my style a little bit. I just felt like the heavy keyline style that Vector sometimes kind of pigeonholes you into, like, click with the pen, you're using the pen tool and you're clicking with a mouse, like, and making super clean lines. I got away from that probably 3 years ago now. I just wanted to start working more like I would if I had an actual brush, an actual like ink pen, a brush, dry medium, and get more of an interesting texture, I think. So a lot of my pieces, well, all of my pieces now, I do totally in Photoshop. I use a lot of brushes, custom brushes, and some other brushes that come with Photoshop, but just using the knowledge that I have of how to build a screen print, I've just been able to kind of adapt my style to be a little bit looser. And these music pieces are built to be screen printed. We just, so I think that would kind of be the evolution. Is what I'm trying to do with Flood is to turn this into a series that we could end up having a show for. So we could do larger versions, like 18x18, 12x12. I like the square format, and as opposed to rectangle, I think it's interesting. Turn this into kind of a show, and doing larger versions, different colorways. But I've just really enjoyed it, because it allows me to get really loose with and experiment with different brushes and textures.
When you're picking the artist, is this a pick from you or the gallery?
The gallery chooses some of them, and then I will go back. It's kind of a give and take. Like, I'll say, ooh, that's an interesting one. How about next time we do this one? And then people on, my collectors on Facebook will be like, oh, when are you going to do Chris Cornell? I'll be like, oh, that's a great one. And then I go back to the gallery and say, let's do him next. And they'll, okay, yeah, let's. So it's a collaborative process. They like to do, a lot of classic rock, English artists, punk, things like that. So a lot of that gets injected into the series. But then I will, I like to try to put some of my own musical taste into there, where you get like kind of the grunge artists and that type of thing.
So your musical taste is more in the field house of that '90s alternative grunge era. Then is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. The first band that I ever decided that I liked that wasn't my parents' music was Nirvana. So I doing that piece, the Cobain piece was a big one for this series. I was really thrilled to do that one. I had a lot of folks that wanted me to do that in the larger 18 by 24 one color, the series.
Mm-hmm.
People have been asking me to do Kurt Cobain for a long time. This was an opportunity to do it in kind of a different style, and one that I'm a little bit more interested in right now.
No, it's great. And you've done 26 of these total based off of the floodgallery.com. All of them are still live. You can purchase them. You can go to the floodgallery.com and
Mhm.
they have them there. You started off with Jimi Hendrix, and the last one you did was based off of here. If they're in order properly, was Johnny Ramone. I'm not sure, Joey Ramone.
Right.
And I like how all of them have a different feel to them, different color tones. Some have something in the background. Some of them are more of a color. Ozzy's glasses pop. Keith Flint has the fire behind him with the fire breather from Prodigy. Johnny Rotten with the Johnny Rotten was the last one. Johnny Rotten with the Flag 26. So they're all completely different and unique in its own sense, and they're unique. They're really different. I'm probably gonna end up having to spend money here after this interview because I'm just thinking. I was kind of looking off to the left. I'm like, there's a space on the wall that could easily fit four of them on. But yeah, no, it is true at this point where it's like I kind of like sometimes like I think at one point, and I think it's just progression of art is like at one point I wanted that ultra detailed, ultra realistic prints to come out. That's what I wanted, and then as time went on, I'm like, you know what? I kind of like a simplified version of it where it's speaking to me a little bit differently. It's more about colors and simplification than it is about over detail because then it's like when you get some prints that are so over detailed, it's like almost like a photo. Yeah, it's exciting to have that, but then some people are like, is it a picture? No, it's a print, and then you got to explain it. Where sometimes it's simplified, more things are more exciting to own. So
Right. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's funny. When I started, I thought that my evolution and growth would lead me to, photorealistic prints. And you can kind of see like with my Star Wars original trilogy set, I started to get, I had the heavy key line in there, but the
mhm.
coloring was done in a very realistic style. And that's when I discovered we came up with a custom five color. It's almost like it's a halftone process. It's almost like your CMYK kind of separation, like the four color process. But we came up with a custom palette that kind of gives us a little bit more of a color range when it came to screen printing, especially with like purples are very hard to do. Because you can't blend like a red with a blue because you end up with a brown. So you kind of have to inject some pink in there and to get the purple tones. But that was kind of my foray into pseudo photorealism, sort of, but retaining the comic keyline style that I had been working in.
Yeah,
But that was
yeah, because I'm looking at it now and I clearly see what you're discussing.
Yeah, I used that style for a while because it allowed me to do an unlimited color palette, but still do prints in 5 colors, which was for me as a one-man show. I was able to afford, 150, 200 prints at 5 colors. Yeah, it was a good, affordable option to get photorealism. But then I just found that I think a lot the pop cult this pop culture thing started with simplified color palettes. If you look at it, a lot of guys are doing 2, 3, 4 color prints, and when you look at it, it's got an aesthetic quality to it that's a little bit more attractive, I think, to the eye. Like it says artwork, it doesn't say
Yeah.
photo, which is what you were talking about. And so I loved that Star Wars series, and I think it's some of my better earlier prints. But now I'm getting more into expressing the quality of screen printing. So you'll see a lot of oversized halftone dots, like especially in this music series. Like I use a lot of halftone dots, and I want those dots to be big, and I want you to see them
Okay.
mixed with kind of dither patterns, which are dithering is just breaking down pixels. So the bigger the space, the lighter the color appears.
Okay.
All one color, essentially. So there's a lot of mixing and matching of really bold halftone use that's very obvious to the eye
Okay.
with delicate dithering to kind of blend out a little bit. But that's only through, doing this for 13 years that I think I've gotten to a point where, the photorealism just doesn't speak to me as much as the aesthetic quality of screen printing itself. Like I want you to know that it's a screen print when you look at it.
Well,
If that makes
let's
any sense at
Dude,
all.
it really does, because at first when I was saying it in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh shit, I might be offending him by saying that I like the fact things are simplified than over realistic. And I'm like,
No.
I'm glad that we're on the same page, because I haven't offended anybody yet in all the interviews, and I'm trying to keep it that way. It's that sign that says like 100 days, no incidents. Yeah, like
Yeah.
87 episodes, no issues with the guests. I want to keep that. No, that I really 100% agree with you. I like looking at my pieces and defining it as artwork, looking at it as artwork, and coming through. There is some pieces that are ultra realistic, but once you go up to it, you can see it's an art piece and it's different. It's a different ownership value to it.
Mhm.
But no, I really do dig that. Before we leave the rock and roll series, talk about some other stuff. Is there anything else with the rock and roll series coming out, or do you have anything up in the pipeline for that?
Um, it's kind of it's always in the works. It just depends upon, it's really the gallery kind of dictates the time frame on that.
Sure.
I would love to continue doing this series, and I would encourage folks to, if you have an artist that you love that you don't see in the collection, reach out to me because I have done some private commissions for pieces in this series. That end up being, one-off giclée prints. I mean, you're obviously paying me to do the illustration work,
Yeah.
but you get your own one-of-a-kind giclée when you're done that isn't part of this series. So that's an option for folks.
I mean, I
Yeah,
do have a space on my wall for a Mike McCready print. I might have to I might have to take you up on that one. Um, no, I think that's great. So definitely, and then the best way to reach out to you would be if they go to your website, and I believe there's you
yeah,
can the contact you and go from there. So I think that'd be the safest way to make sure they get in touch with you.
yeah.
So let's ask this. So it is. I know that you were riding pretty high on conventions, and art was coming out pretty heavily in 2019. And up to 2020. In 2019, if I'm going to go to your website real quick to pull up, I mean, you had a lot of pieces that were coming out, especially you had a couple sport pieces that came out with the
Mm,
Heritage Classic. You had a lot of you had a lot of portrait pieces that were coming out, like of bodies. One of my favorites that came out that year was From Where the Wild Things Are. That was really pretty. That was a really standout piece. So you had a lot of things going on. I know everything was kind of moving quickly. You had that Star Trek print that was hot and heavy at the convention. So
mm.
a lot of great things. Oh, the Sum 41. You did the Sum 41 stuff. You had a lot going on.
I did. That was a very productive year. Where last year was nuts. It
Well,
was still
let's
very productive, but it doesn't seem as like the pace wasn't nearly as high as 2019. Obviously.
let's bring it up. So 2020, we all know the pandemic starts,
Hmm.
and it affects so many artists and people that rely on having art, being face to face with people, getting work out online, having new mediums. Because that's something that I tend to forget when I'm talking to people is, without new movies coming out, without new TV shows coming out and stuff like that, when you only have so many limited, and like you had said before, with so many artists out there, when one show comes out, I mean, it's like, The Mandalorian comes out, how many Mandalorian pieces can we have before it's like, so many people are doing them. Now, of course, some stand out more than others, but it just makes it harder because for the artist, because there's so many great pieces out that as a collector, it's like, well, we have a little bit of the ability to, pick and choose from it. So it's like, all right, well, we'll get from this one instead of typically from this person because, we have that ability to choose. So, how did you, as an artist, go into the pandemic and because you're just an are you just an artist? Is that your bread and butter income?
I do graphic design. I do have a graphic design day job.
Okay.
It's not nearly as rewarding as this, which is why I started doing this 13 years ago.
But I mean, this is something that still pays
Yeah,
the bills, takes care of you. You have a family. This is something that's important to you.
yeah,
How
absolutely.
how many projects were either postponed, canceled, or put on the shelf because of the pandemic?
I would say that nearly all of the gallery shows that were scheduled. Honestly, when the pandemic started, my kids were now home with us, and priorities shifted quite a bit. So for me, one of the biggest hangups about getting any kind of work done was mental. I was just overwhelmed. It was. I don't think it's hard to explain because everyone was kind of in the same boat all at the same time. So it just didn't seem like a priority for me to be putting artwork out and asking people to spend money on artwork about some pop culture subject matter when there were so many serious things going on, politically, socially, the pandemic, people's health. I mean, you can only see so many photos of people in the hospital that you've had correspondence with these people. You've been friends on Facebook with this person, and now they're really, really sick. And it's like, okay, it's not fair for me to try to put stuff out. So for me, I postponed a lot of things in those first few months. I mean, even like the first 6 months of the pandemic, I was like, I just don't feel right about doing this. So thankfully, I did have another source of income to fall back on. So I was able to make that decision. I know a lot of artists weren't able to make that decision. So I'm thankful for that freedom that I have to do that. Um, but yeah, I just kind of started slowly to get back into it. Like I think the first thing that I offered in a long time was just I did 10 originals, and I just let people if they it had been a long time, if they wanted to have me do something for them, just a pen and ink drawing, some watercolor, I would do that, and I do those from time to time just to kind of get the creative juices flowing again. Those are some of the best pieces to do because I don't know what the subject matter is going to be. So for me, it's like I'll end up doing a subject matter I didn't know existed. I never thought of doing. So they're always kind of a challenge, which is great. And it really, when I started doing the originals, because for a long time I didn't. I think I did the original. I started doing originals about 3 years ago. What it did for me was it pushed me to go back to the roots of my illustration, um, and have no fear about making a mark on paper. Because once that ink goes down, you can't get it back up. There is no Control Z anymore. So those pieces have been great. And to go back to what I was saying about 2020. I think I needed something to push me. I needed a challenge to kind of bring me back up to speed because it has been, breakneck speed for a long time. And it's really the only way to get your name out there. It's just to say yes to everything. Um, so I'm now at a point where, thankfully I'm very fortunate, but I can say no to a lot of things.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and I just, 2020 it was rough for everyone, and I think it shows in my portfolio in particular. It's slim. There wasn't a whole lot that I could bring myself to mentally feel like I wanted to do. So yeah, to answer your question, I self postponed a lot of things, and I just kind of dabbled in things that I would try to keep the creative mind going, but not nearly at the volume that I was doing even 2019. I think 2012 was one of my biggest years ever. But I was putting out I was in 2 shows a month and I was putting out, 80 some pieces in that year. And I think last year I probably did less than 20. I don't know. I just couldn't wrap my mind around the whole pandemic thing.
Well, I mean, it's, I don't think anyone could, but one thing that I've mentioned to every person I've spoke to, especially in the arts community, whether it's a musician or an artist, is
Mm,
when I look at 2020, and I have to explain a little bit more on this show so that people can understand it. Because in the past shows, I don't think anyone understood it. We have to look back at this time and look at people that made art, and whether it was digitally or musically or film wise, because that's what got us out of the pandemic. I mean, that's what kept us sane. For me, there was many times that you'd get depressed and stuff. And I have a couple rooms in my house that are full of art that my wife has basically pushed me to. I basically have a whole downstairs. She has the upstairs. And I have this theater room that has a ton of artwork in it, and there's many of your pieces, the Pulp Fiction, the Shaun of the Dead print, are prominently in that collection. And there'd be times where I would just have to go in that room and get lost down there when everything was just like, I'm busy at work, but I'm seeing all this stuff on the road, and I'm seeing these things on internet, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And like, just to get my head away from everything was like, I would
mm,
go in there, and that artwork would like bring back memories, whether it's that movie or the time I purchased that print, or whether I went to that concert and stuff, or whether, and that right there would like get me lost for even if it was just 5 minutes. And like
mhm,
the reward behind that art of being lost for a few minutes because of that was invaluable. And just, it helps with the mental side of things. And that's why, like, I think, and a lot of the people that I associate myself with that have the same philosophy or look at things the same way I do, you know, art is different to me because it is an escape.
mhm,
And yeah, I mean, I can't, like when I look at, that Shaun of the Dead piece I have of yours is one of my favorites because it is one of my favorite movies of all time. And because I'll never be able to afford the Tyler Stout one. So I was able to afford yours. And I just love the difference of it. And what's cool about it, it's over by a black light. Like these LED lights I can do black. When I turn a black light on it, it like the colors just pop on it. Like it looks really cool, and it's just a great print. And but no, I've gotten lost in that print quite a few times, and it's just it's good to have that escape. And that's why art is something, like I look at artists, and it sounds silly, but thank them, because during there, I guarantee you, I'm not the only person that during the pandemic or during shit times in general that you had those
mhm.
pieces to look at and and get lost in, just to kind of have clarity for 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, I totally hear you. Yeah, it's why, our house is, you can see it in the background. It's like just surrounded with art all the time. Um, yeah, and my kids have grown up with just, art all over the place. It's always a weird experience to go into somebody's house where there's nothing on the walls. It's very curious to me, and I immediately notice it, and it's something that I talk to them as if we're kind of we're gonna have a counseling session about why you don't have any art on your walls. This is very
Yeah.
strange. But yeah, I found the pandemic, because we had so much time at home. It was really kind of a chance to one of the good things that came out of having time at home was to be able to take stock of what you had, investigate why something was up, whether you liked it still, whether it still spoke to you. So I did a lot of cleaning. I was very fortunate to have, there was a local gentleman who was getting rid of a rather large flat file. If you just came by and picked it up from his house, it was free. And it was like, well, cheap is free is great for me. So I'm going to go pick this up. So I picked up this great new flat file. It's enormous and it's old and it's beat up and it's awesome. And I unloaded my old one and I reloaded this one and I remembered all the prints I had forgotten about and
Mm.
found ones that I couldn't find. And it was a very, it was an interesting and rewarding process to go through kind of a cleanup mentally and physically with the prints and yeah, take stock, I guess, and reorganize your life a little bit.
It is interesting. So April 1st for me is I have to go through for my flat file April 1st of every year because I actually have, besides a homeowner's insurance policy, I have an insurance policy on my artwork because I have so much money invested in it. So April 1st, I clear out the flat file. I have to pull it out, do a spreadsheet, and get the most true estimate of what the pieces are worth to send over to my insurance company. But that it is interesting, like you were saying, like you pull everything out, and it's like, and I've done this. I don't know if you've done this. I purchased a print when it went on sale. I put it in the flat file, and then it gets, artwork gets on top of it, and
Mhm.
then someone posts something like, "Hey, I got this for sale." Like, "Oh man, I really need that." Then you buy that said print the second time, and then when you clean out your flat file, you're like, "Wait a minute, why do I have two of these exact same?" And then you realize that like maybe you should have a better system in place than what you have. But no, I'm about a week. And I love it, but then I dread it as well because I know for a fact my wife is very not far away. Like, well, that print's worth how much money?
Yeah.
Oh, do we want to go to Disney? No, I don't want to go to Disney. That's going back because
That's so funny that you can
oh,
afford, you can even think of, Disney vacation print or, I've got that Tyler Stout up on the wall that's looking like a Disney cruise coming up.
but you know what it is? I ultimately regret selling things too. I have this
Yeah.
Blunt Graphics Mars Attacks print. It's a bubblegum print. He got in a lot of trouble for making. Like as he was gonna he only made six of them. It's this huge
Okay.
24 by 36. It's beautiful. It's just like it pops every time. I had one of six. And I had it up on the wall. My kids at the time were like, "Dad, this scares me," which is funny now because what I have in my movie room now is like I have Exorcist prints and like text chains from Massacre. But at that time, back in the day, the Mars Attacks print scared them. So I'm like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'll sell it. I ended up selling it for I was pretty close to like probably about $1,100 when I sold it. Flipped it
Wow.
for yeah. It's as I'm telling you, as soon as I saw the post office take it, I had regret in my belly, and it was brutal. And then about 6 months later, someone was selling the number six of six, and it was like a trade money cash situation, and I ended up not paying not nearly as much as I sold my first one for. But I got it, and yeah, it's just now I'm like, anytime I have the opportunity to sell something, like I sold something last week and I'm regretting it. But it's not. I think it was kind of like this. I was collecting a lot of the Jason Edmondson Eyes Without a Face, and I have
Mhm.
way too many of them. I mean, every time I put some out, I'm buying every single one of them, and I have a flat file of probably 60 of them that are never going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
And I sold one, and I'm like, oh, but I have to like, it's like I have at some point I'm going to have to be like, enough is enough, Anthony. Just let it like you. Some shit's got to go. I mean, when I die, I mean, my casket will only fit so many pieces around me, you know.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, bury me in a print tube.
That's just don't gorilla hand me. Just roll me up nice and easy. Make sure and then slip me on in. Yeah,
Oh
that
my
that.
God.
Yeah. I mean, I have enough poster tubes here. I could probably create a casket with them.
Yeah.
Um, no, but it's great. So, what does the future hold for you looking forward? I mean, do you have anything up the sleeve? I know, looking at some stuff coming up, I know you have May the 4th, which is a big deal for you for the last quite a few years.
Yeah.
Um,
I've got A couple of personal pieces for May the 4th, and then I'm also working with Spoke Art again. We're bringing series two of a popular series back again for May the 4th. There's going to be, news coming out about that very soon.
Okay.
That's always a treat for me, being like a super Star Wars geek. So I've done way too much Star Wars art in my life. But it can keep coming because they keep making really cool stuff all the time that my kids love. And so I'll just keep on making it. I don't know. You ask a really interesting question about, what does the future hold for me? I'd love to continue doing this for another, decade or so. It's just like, at what point do you become the old guy that's not cool anymore? Like, you can't do a Star Wars print when you're
Well, hold on. Well,
55.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait.
What
Before
do
you
you
even get into that, being too old, I've interviewed everybody in different generations of art. Tomorrow I have Ward Sutton coming on, who Ward's been doing prints since, God, the late '80s,
oh,
and and he's still doing stuff. He does a lot of stuff that's like politically based, but he's done a lot of concert work and all this stuff. I don't think that, I be honest with you, I don't think there's an age that defines it. I
hmm,
think as long as you're true, and this would be my advice to any artist out there, because there is an artist out there that I grew with, and then he got so big that he forgot where he came from, and his attitude about art and his attitude to his fans, his ego grew, and because of that, I stopped purchasing from this person.
hmm,
As long as you continue doing what you're doing, and as long as you continue putting out the quality that you're putting out, and you're not skimping on it. And what I mean is skimping, you're not just throwing out something to throw it out, and you can see there's no passion driven behind it. People are going to be turned on enough to purchase your work. And
hmm.
I would say age doesn't define that. Art is determined by the artist himself and how he puts it out there, and if somebody wants to purchase it. And, there's some artists out there that, I don't understand. Like, I will tell you an artist that has one of the biggest followings. I respect him tremendously. It's just his art doesn't speak to me. Joey Feldman is an artist who uses a lot of splash coloring and these lines and stuff. And while I don't get it per se, I respect him because he does it, and he's great with the fan stuff. But he's got a huge following because he's true to his fans. He's got a he's loyal to his fans. He's true. He's honest. He's a good person. People follow that. And I
Right.
think as long as you keep doing you, the sky's the limit. I think so.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, that's like totally my yeah, my thinking about this too is that I'm not in this to price out my fans, my clients, my customers. My prints have generally been the same limited edition quantities and the same price since I started. And I did, I don't. I just like I value the customers too much to say, like this is my last AP of this series. Let's see what it's going for on eBay, and then
Mm.
say, oh, it's $500 for this AP when originally it was a $45 print. It's like, come on. So yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I like to think that I've stayed true and honest throughout this entire journey. And I like being able to see that when I meet people in person, like when you and I met at the convention. It's kind of like, it's nice to meet and speak honestly with people that otherwise are just kind of, a text string on Facebook or Instagram or something. But yeah, I hope 10 years from now that it's still, people still see my work as just, it's just me being honest and kind of expressing my own uh, nerding out about topics that I like and that my kids like, and things that inspire me, like, music, art, television, all those things. So yeah, I try not to take myself too seriously. I think my kids are very good at knocking my ego down and me.
I totally get it.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
wife is like, that portrait does not look like that person at all. You really need to get that one. Man, back to the drawing board.
oh God, man, that's wow. Well, I guess you need to have that yin to the yang kind of thing in your house. You got to make sure someone's keeping you in check.
Yeah, yeah, always.
Holy
Yeah,
moly!
my wife loves to say, "Don't ever believe your own hype." So
Mm.
it keeps me humble all the time.
Wow, that's good. That's good that someone's keeping you in line. I know my wife does the exact same damn thing. So I think it's just one of those things. Someone's got to keep you in check. So you got those. You got the May the 4th coming up. I know you've been teasing a League of Their Own print a little bit, showing clips of that. Is that something we should be expecting out anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm really hoping to have that for opening day.
Okay.
I think this print has been a long time coming. I'm not sure why this particular subject hasn't been explored to death at this point because it's one of the best movies of all time. It's one of my favorites. I'm I'm a coach for my son's baseball team, so we are just living and breathing baseball all the time. And last year was tough. It was interesting. My son really got into baseball collecting. We got him cards and everything, and stat books and all kinds of stuff. So he's kind of like flooded with baseball all the time, playing and otherwise. So for me, it was like a piece that I just really wanted to do. And I'm in a way, I'm glad that I waited until now to explore it because I think had I done it 10 years ago, it would have been a completely different piece. Um, so yeah, I think my style and my experience now made it a stronger piece. But yeah, I'm really excited to put that out. It's a bigger piece, unfortunately. It's a 24 by 36. Um,
As I was
I
ripping that apart before.
Yeah, it's like I say one thing and then I do the other. So I feel like fans, when you put out a movie piece, it has to be at that size or everyone goes, it's not a movie piece. It doesn't match with all the other ones I've got up on the wall. So I went with it, but it's on a really cool something called Pink Lemonade stock. So the
Interesting.
paper is pink. It's going to be really, really cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I just went like full on girls rule, a league of their own. It's got to be pink. I really tried to be honest with it and give it a good homage, I think.
So let's keep it with movies
Okay.
real quick. And I got a question for you. Have you watched the new Justice League movie?
I did not. I don't know if I have any interest in spending 4 hours. I know my
Oh,
wife does not, so
oh
I
God.
saw it the first time and didn't really like it.
It's yeah, it was I forced myself to like the original because I'm just that big of a Batman fan. But then watching this one, God, it killed well, the thing and going into it. And actually, and I'm glad, and I will be announcing soon. I have two major poster artists who follow the show who they are big DC guys, and we've talked about this in the past. That we're gonna have a whole show dedicated to talking about the Justice League in about 2.5 weeks. So stay tuned for that.
Wow.
But yeah, it's I got up last Thursday, 7 o'clock in the morning, ran downstairs like Christmas morning, boom, right into my movie theater room, 200-inch screen, power on. I didn't move from my chair for 4 hours and 7 minutes, and I was lost in it. And then as the last 30 minutes hit, I'm like, oh shit, they're teasing us with stuff that could have been. Oh no, we could have got this.
Oh,
Oh no, we could have done that. Now it's like we got Zack Snyder's version, but it's like we're never gonna see the end of this. So now it's like a tease because it brings me to this theory, and I call it the Ghostbuster theory. There is this like idea of like Ghostbusters is supposed to come out this year or next year or something like that, right? But what if
Uh-huh.
you die before it comes out and you waited all this time to see it and you never see the damn movie? So
Yeah.
it's like you wait, you like you got all this hype and then you exit and then you get hit by a car, you die. It's like I didn't get to see the movie. You go up to the pearly gates, you're like, everyone's all excited to get in, and you're there with a frown, and God's like, "What's wrong?" Didn't get to see Ghostbusters. So I kind of felt like that. I'm like, you're teasing me with all this stuff. So while it was amazing, and I highly recommend this movie. I highly recommend this movie. Yeah, that last 20 minutes, 30 minutes was like, oh no. Like it just kind of, it was like, I wish there's just a part that there's just this great clip of what could have been, and it brings in characters you didn't even know were in the movie,
Oh,
and you're like,
jeez.
son of a bitch.
That absolutely sucks. Yeah, I if I can ever find a 4 hour, well, I guess I could watch it in like 4 1 hour installments or
So the
something.
way that it's done is there is eight, but not really, because the first and the last is just like the credits. There's six different broken up pieces, chapters to it, and they break it up so it's like stories, and you can watch them in those pieces, and they turn out to be like 35 to 45 minutes a piece. And actually, they're supposed to be releasing a black and white version of it next week, which I don't know why, but Mad Max was really good in black and white. So I'm like, well,
Mm.
if I'm gonna rewatch Justice League, well, I'll watch it in black and white. I mean, why not? I mean, I have this $6,000 color projector that's on a 200 screen, but why not watch it in black and white? Makes sense. Um, but yeah, no. So yeah, I would if you break it up, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely awesome. But yeah, I would recommend watching it.
Yeah, I would. I like watching all those movies because they do. I'm a real easy sucker for movies. Like if I sit there and most of it's enjoyable and I don't totally regret every minute. At that, if I regret like within like the first 10, 15 minutes, I'm done. I'm not going to watch the rest of the movie. But yeah, if like I sit through a movie, I generally like it. I'm not like super hypercritical about everything. I think most of the DC films have been at least enjoyable. I haven't stormed out of the theater. Oh, that was terrible. So yeah, it's like I'd like to see it. It's just I guess I didn't fall victim to the super hype that was happening. So I kind of feel like really out of the loop on that whole thing.
Let me ask you this: Have
Okay.
you? Because you say stormed out of theater. Have you ever stormed out of a theater for a movie that you didn't like?
Oh my God. No, because I'm like, I have buyer's remorse. So it's like, I paid to be in.
You know,
There are some movies that we've watched where like, oh God, this is terrible. Like what was it? Spider-Man 3 was just like
is that with the
awful.
emo guy? Like he came out like the black
Yeah,
suit.
the
Oh,
whole
that was
emo
bad.
thing was terrible, and like that was my, that's what a superhero movie was for a long time. They were always like the origin story because nobody knows how Spider-Man was created, so let's do the origin again. And you sit through it because you're like, oh yeah, I like Spider-Man, so I'll watch the origin story again. And yeah, it was pretty good, even though the costumes kind of sucked and the plot wasn't very good. And but yeah, that one it was like, oh my God, this is really terrible. It's taking it in a direction I'm not interested in at all. But I for whatever reason, Marvel did such a better job of getting people sucked into the universe and having it go for so long and be so cohesive and like people just I got sucked into those way more than I did the DC movies. So it's like we watch those and we enjoy them individually, but I've never been a DC guy. I've always been like, the Spider. I collected Spider-Man and Captain America. Those were my comics.
No, I get it. And I think it all falls back onto how Disney knows what they're doing. because Disney did a great job. I mean, look at Star Wars, and I mean, even though Star Wars is very, it's going to be driven regardless by fans, but how they made it so, like with the new Disney Plus series, look at what the Marvels did, what they're doing with Marvel and their Disney Plus series. I mean, WandaVision, I mean, it was outstanding. I really enjoyed that. But then, you look at how Warner Brothers has really mishandled the DC properties. And
Hmm.
it's like last night. I mean, right now the in the top 10 trends on most social platforms have been about Justice League and how positive it's been. Like the overwhelming positive. And one of the brothers is like, "Nah, we have no interest in continuing the story." So it's like, like they're like we have an idea, we're gonna stick with it. I'm like, all right. So in the last couple years, I mean, listen, I've enjoyed all the DC movies, but the Joker movie, which was absolutely beautiful. I mean, that was probably the best DC movie to come out in a very long time. That was unique, original. But if you look, Shazam was a great kids movie. It was DC's version of Big. I mean, it's a great kids movie. Suicide Squad, I enjoyed Suicide Squad, but for the most people, no one really enjoyed Suicide Squad. Batman vs. Superman was very much, the extended cut that Zack Snyder released later on, which was much more enjoyable and made more sense than what was in the theaters, because Warner Brothers touches too much of the movie and they dictate what's going out. I am curious to see what the new Suicide Squad that is coming out, the James Gunn movie that comes out in August, because that's going to be unique. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Warner Brothers is too hands on, and sometimes you almost got to be like, let the artist do what they do. So, have you been watching any movies recently that you could recommend for anyone tuning in?
Oh my God. We have actually been watching a lot more. We got sucked into streaming because of the total. We thought there was going to be a total desert of content during, the pandemic. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to run out of stuff to watch." We have just been like watching like everything that we could get into. We just finished The Expanse, which um, the first season, well, actually, like the first 3 episodes, my wife and I are watching it because everyone around us is like, "I'm reading the books now. This is the best thing since sliced bread." We're like watching the first 3 episodes. We're like, "Oh my God, this is terrible. I don't know how we're supposed to get through 5 seasons of this." And by the last one, we were like, "When is there new episodes? I can't wait." So that was a really good one. Like, Ozark, uh, um, Dirtbag was really good. We watched anything and everything that was streaming wise. Movies, I don't know. We watched Soul with our kids. So like I'm a
That
huge
was so
Pixar
good.
fan. It was so good. The Raya was pretty good,
I didn't see
although a
that.
little. It's the new Disney princess, or not princess, but new Disney animated feature. Yeah, it was pretty good. Um, yeah, we tend to watch things that we can kind of digest in like an hour or less. So we're like big fans of series.
Well, I will tell you, if I can make a recommendation for a movie, if you're into that 80s style of genre, it is not for kids. I've learned that the hard way. There's a movie called Psycho Gorman. I don't know if you've heard of this yet.
No,
Psycho
no.
Gorman is this most ridiculous movie. I don't know how to even put it in a genre, but basically it's about this demon that is transformed and captive in a crystal, and this little foul-mouthed child finds it, and they unleash this Psycho Gorman, and this thing is wants to like it is watch the trailer. And I would say this: it's if you have time to watch with your wife, and kind of if you just want this most ludicrous film, it is great. It is absolutely great. I thought it was a kids movie until the thing comes out of the ground and the girl's like, "Oh, I got the power to view." She's like, "I just want to see you die and reap in the bloodless soul." And she's like, "All right, see you later, Psycho Gorman." And it is almost like the style of Power Rangers, like those demons from Power Rangers meets like, it is excellent. I highly recommend you watch that.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I will probably have to watch that one on my own. My wife is like, "I don't want to cry or scream when I sit down at the end of a long day, when I sit down, I don't want to do anything that isn't laughing and enjoying something. I'm like, okay. And, like, so I haven't seen like any horror or anything that's scary or too dramatic in probably the last 15 years, maybe.
Oh, Jesus. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely watch it, but it is definitely worth the watch. But all right, so we know that that's coming out. We got some things to look out for. If you are interested in any Josh's work, it's real simple. All you have to do is you can go to his website, which is online. You can even Google search him. But if you go to Joshua and then it's budich.com, the link is in the description of this video. If you're listening to this as a podcast version, just look over to the right under the pod in the description link, and you'll be able to find it there. Click it, and it'll take you right to his page. And he has some great stuff under the store. Let's help support local art. He's got a lot of great stuff up there for you to purchase. Great guy. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate we getting this interview together so we can actually put it right on here. Why don't you hang tight real quick? We're going to end this interview. Once again, you can listen to this show and all shows. If you've never listened to the show before, you can go to the touringfanlive.com. You can go find this interview or all the other interviews 24 hours after interviews live on all iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Google Play, any podcast version. Listen to there, subscribe and like there. And until next time, I am Anthony. That is Joshua. Thank you so much for coming on the Touring Fan Live.
Thank you very much.